Welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me as I explore the wide world of pens. And yes, I'm back in a buying mode, and yes, I see pens and I go, gotta have it. And what enticed me was I saw a Facebook posting from one of my friends that had this multicolored Jinhao. He said it had matte trim, so I said, gotta have one. And I don't have one in that particular finish. Lasky Squirrel does. And then I saw that Kaigelu also had a similar type of pen, so I bought both of them because I feel we need to share and look at these very interesting, different versions of some very popular pens. These are the mini versions. And I originally thought, mini, how many can it be? We have to say, yes, it's mini. It's a good deal smaller. And for the first time, Kaigelu has an arrow style clip. Interesting. Different cap band on the Kaigelu, similar cap band on the Jinhao 100 to the other Centennials. Similar finials at the top, but slightly smaller. They really did an excellent job downsizing this do-fold style pen into something that is quite different and unique, and I think quite nice. So nice that I ordered the wooden version because I don't have a wooden Jinhao 100. I missed out when they were the regular size, so I'm getting a smaller one. And I'm also getting a metal one. Need to complete the collection. So we're going to let the frogs wink at you, and we're going to dive into these two pens. We definitely have to compare the mini Kaigelu Amber with the full-size Kaigelu Amber. So the obvious difference is it's much smaller, significantly smaller. It kind of remind me of the Parker Centennial and International models, but that size difference wasn't as great as this. And they both have a kangaroo logo on top. It's just slightly smaller on the mini. Everything's slightly smaller. And that really makes it cute. The gold trim works well with this amber finish. So if we take off the caps, and it's a few turns to take them off, we'll see the other big difference is the nib. Yes, it's a number 5 size nib versus a number 6 on the original Kaigelu 316. A smaller section, it's just downsized. They did a very nice job reducing it by, I'd say, about 30-35% of the original size. We'll do some size comparisons a little bit later. As we expect, they're both cartridge converters. The barrel unscrews, and we'll see a converter. The barrels didn't roll all the way off. We'll see a converter, but it's slightly smaller, and I've seen this smaller Kaigelu converter before. A little bit shorter to fit into that smaller barrel. And it's now a 316M versus just a standard 316. It's nice that they still continued to put the identification on that inner part of the section, this metal part. Fig Boot would be very happy about that. So that's the pens as we describe them. And it's still an interesting two-tone nib on the mini, so they certainly have continued to make very interesting looking nibs with kangaroos on them. So in my Jinhao 100 Centennial models, the regular size, I don't have one in this particular unique multicolor, very much looks like bits of candy in there, crushed candy. They've really accentuated the feathers on the clip and made it more reminiscent of kind of the older style arrow clip. This is more the modern style arrow clip. Both of them have a nice matte finish Chariot logo in a matte gold plating. Maybe that's the matte gold some people might be referring to. The cap band are pretty much the same, except it's just slightly smaller. No markings on the barrel. And as we take off the caps, and they take a lot of turns too, just a little bit even more than the Kaigelu do. And we'll see what we expected. A nice Jinhao number 5 nib, which is one of the first Jinhao nibs I fell in love with. There's a medium on the smaller one, and I think you can see how that tipping material is about twice the size as the tipping material on the fine, which should show up good in the writing. And Jinhao has that metal band top and bottom of the section, your standard cartridge converters. I like the fact that they both have a nice rubber O-ring there, so when you tighten down the barrel, you get that nice feeling when it tightens up. And these have both the same size converters, and they're those standard branded Jinhao converters. Nice metal piece here. So I'm impressed that they've downsized this pen and made it a very cute little pen. But unfortunately, the price didn't drop accordingly. It basically went up. I think these are going to be limited supply, the minis, and when they're gone, they're gone. I think we need to look at the evolution of the clip. The black one here has that ball clip design, also reminiscent of very early Parker dual folds. Then we have a more modern stylized arrow clip, and then something here a little bit more reminiscent of vintage. They all have that same nice Chariot logo at the top of the cap finial. And all in all, they've really kept this design very consistent while giving us many, many materials to be able to enjoy the pen with. And this black pen has a very nice engraving on it. And I do have a red version of this with a similar engraving. I'm impressed with how they've continued to evolve, make changes too, so we need to keep buying more. Good marketing job. Kudos to Jinhao. They're good at it. You may ask, how do they post? And they do post similar to that dual fold design. The Jinhao is much, much longer posted, and the Kaigelu really is a nice pen posted. I think they did an excellent job. It's just slightly refining diameters here that the cap posts deeper and more secure than on the Jinhao 100. But even with this long Jinhao 100, it's not balanced well in my hand, and you could write with it unposted. You know, it still works okay. Very, very light pen. Whereas the Kaigelu posted just feels good in the hand, very well balanced. And it is a little bit shorter, so it's not quite as comfortable unposted, but thankfully it posts nice, deeply, and well. Of course, we're going to take a look at how these nibs and sections work together. Both of these are in a number 5 nib collar. I think it's really nice that we have a nice O-ring there, and that this is a clear collar, so when you have somewhat semi-transparent, translucent resin, this doesn't interfere with it as much as this black one would. And I think Jinhao does make a clear nib collar, but for some reason they didn't put it in this Jinhao 100. Here you have the metal ring at the bottom. Here you don't have it, which has been typical of these designs from day one. That nice O-ring there, and the branding that you get with Kaigelu. And these nibs just pull out very easily. Right now what I'm just going to do is flush them with soapy water, rinse them with fresh water, reassemble them, and decide which one I want to ink and write with. Stay tuned. So what ink to put into that fun Jinhao mini pen? Of the 12 inks here, number 10 called out to me. It's a really darker pink. A little glitter in it, so I think it should work well in that medium Jinhao number 5 nib. Here's the bottle that it comes in. Yeah, there's a little glitter, but it goes into suspension very, very quickly. There you can see it on the back side, and you shake it a little bit, and it's all done. So I've been happy with these Tremolo inks, so let's try a new one, and let's see how it works in that Jinhao nib. So in using the ink, I thought I saw a violet component, kind of in the purple family, and you do see there at the top of the chromatography, a dark line, and the rest of it looks pretty nice. It's a more consistent color than what I expected, and not much glitter. I don't really see anything there at the bottom where I laid down the ink originally. I don't always do chromatographies anymore, but sometimes an ink color just says, I want to see it, the chromatography. So now for some dimensions and editorial comment. So we'll give you the dimensions of both this Jinhao and the Kaigelu minis, and you can compare them. So I inked this one up. Why did I ink this one up? Well, you saw the ink I selected. I thought that was a perfect match for that amazing amount of colors that are in this pen and the resin that it's carved from, turned from. The cap comes off with 1, 2, a little over 2.5 turns, which is classical. They've maintained that when they downsized the pen. And as I talked a little bit about before, not a pen I would post because it does back weight, and that length I think is okay, fits in the hand without posting. That section is on the small side, but it's in proportion to the pen, so it works well for me, and it's a very light pen, so you don't need to grip it much, and I like that flare out at the bottom, etc., etc. So I'm a sucker for pens. I enjoy pens. I enjoy all the pens that I own. I wouldn't buy pens if I didn't really enjoy them, and I enjoy sharing them with you, my viewers. Hopefully you enjoy my enjoyment of enjoying sharing with you. I guess there's a lot of enjoyment there. So let's put that nib to paper and see how that trommel ink works in this medium Jinhao nib. So this is a very smooth nib, which to me is typical of this number 5 Jinhao nib. The 991s and the 992s are the first pens that I remember with this nib in them, and the nib has consistently been a very good writer. Yeah, this is the medium version. And it works as well as any of the other ones that I've had. So let's rate this pen. I'm going to give it a 9.6. It gets 1 check for being cute. It gets 1 check for build, design, craftsmanship, and usability, and the nib gets 1 check. You know, it's a little on the small side. If you don't like a mini pen, this is not the one I would recommend. Go for the large, regular size one. But as a collector, as someone likes to see how the different pen makers evolve their models and entice us to part with our money to acquire them, this had to be one that I got. So we've come to the conclusion. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. I hope this video finds you safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, having some fun with them, finding a pen that brings a smile to your face and writes well, and is just a nice thing to accompany your day with. Write some notes, write some letters, just put nib to paper and spread some ink. So you reach the end of this video, and we're going to say bye. Yeah, I do like this nib and ink combo. More than I expected. The trommel inks have been a great pleasure.